Hello, how are you? I'm sure you know someone who has been walking for a while or just started walking recently and says it doesn't work, that they can't lose weight, can't reduce belly fat. There are some mistakes people make that really prevent walking from being effective. Today I'm going to tell you what you need to do to get results, especially when it comes to belly fat. Stick around until the end because you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask you where you're from, how old you are, and what physical activity you do the most during your week. Do you have a routine? Are you consistent? Or do you just exercise when you can? How does that work for you? Write it for me here in the comments. Also remember to like the video. This shows YouTube that you support my channel as a whole and that you trust my content. That's super important to me. Many people start walking because walking really is a universal exercise, right? Pretty much everyone can walk, in the sense that there are no medical contraindications for the vast majority of people, except for some health exceptions, of course. But it's something that doesn't require any investment. You don't need to pay for a gym. You don't need anything, right? You just have to go out on the street. Of course, if you have the benefit of a park, a beach, or a beautiful trail nearby, that's even better. But you can even walk on the sidewalk. It ends up being very democratic, very universal. That's why many people, when they start doing some physical activity, say, I'm going to walk. But they don't walk in the right way to optimize these benefits and end up not getting results. I'm going to tell you what the 5 most common mistakes are and how you can change that. The first mistake, if you're focusing on weight loss, has to do with the duration of your walk. The biggest studies say that a walk needs to be at least 40 minutes, starting from 40 minutes up to at least 70 minutes, if you can, to get good results when it comes to weight loss. This is because when we walk for more than 40 minutes, the body starts to change its energy source. It reduces the use of glucose and begins to oxidize fat as its main fuel. So this improves your insulin sensitivity, and most importantly, it starts to use more of this fat here from the visceral, central, and abdominal region as an energy source. So a lot of mistakes that happen, many of the mistakes that occur are related to the duration. People say things like, I'm going to walk for 15 minutes, I'm going to walk for 20 minutes. It doesn't get to the point of changing the energy substrate to really oxidize fat. Of course, it has other health benefits, but for weight loss, it usually starts to show more results when you can go beyond that 40-minute mark, at least. The second mistake has to do with the frequency of walking. Some people say, I'm going to start walking. They go on the first day, walk, and then spend the whole week without walking again, or at most walk twice a week. So this will definitely impact your results in terms of weight loss and losing belly fat, visceral fat. So there are studies that have already proven that to achieve 26% less visceral fat in 12 weeks, the ideal is for you to walk at least 3 times a week for 50 to 70 minutes each time. So it's important that you maintain consistency and treat this as real physical exercise. Another point has to do with the intensity of your walk. When you go for a walk with health benefits in mind, it doesn't really help to think it's the same as taking your dog for a walk, where you walk a bit, stop, then walk again and stop, or like strolling through a mall, moving very slowly, stopping often, and sitting down along the way. It needs to be a focused workout, at least during those 40 minutes where you're really intentional about what you're doing and try to keep the pace as steady and consistent as possible. This already brings us to the 4th mistake, which is that many people don't change their walking route or vary their path. If you walk outdoors, ideally you should try to mix things up and use different routes whenever possible. One day you take one street, another day you take a different one. One day you go uphill, another day you go downhill, and another day you walk more on flat ground. Because when you do this, you recruit different muscles, you place different demands on your heart, and this also helps keep you more motivated. If every day you know exactly what you're going to encounter with the same things and the same scenery, it loses some of its appeal and the motivation for you to keep exercising as well. And of course, the 5th mistake is closely related to diet, because there are people who say things like, I've walked for 40 minutes, so that gives me a free pass to eat whatever I want. There are even people who come back from their walk and eat. Stop at a bakery and have a big sandwich, cake, pudding, or a cream-filled pastry. So be careful, because ideally you should try to basically stick to the diet you are already following, or create a structured calorie deficit that allows you to keep up with your physical exercise. I have several videos here on the channel talking about how many calories you need to lose weight, because in fact, to lose weight, you need to have a calorie deficit. You have to eat less than you burn. Of course, physical activity will help you metabolically. It will burn fat, but think about it. There's no point in burning 300 calories on your walk if you eat 400 more at the bakery when you get back. In fact, you'll end up with a surplus of 100 calories and might even gain weight. And that's what happens to a lot of people who forget that controlling your diet is also necessary for weight loss. Tell me in the comments then, which of these mistakes did you realize you were making and that's why you weren't getting good results? And what are you going to change starting with your next walk? I'd love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, it really helps me out, and share it with anyone who needs this information. Let's work together to spread this chain of good. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.